Basic psychology. Brain plasticity and functional recovery. Brain plasticity. Did you know that our brains have the incredible ability to adapt and change throughout our lives? This is called brain plasticity, or neuroplasticity.
Brain plasticity? I've never heard of that before. Can you tell me more?
Absolutely. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's capacity to modify its organization in response to new experiences.
That's fascinating. So the brain can actually change and adapt based on what we do?
Yes, that's right. Research has found that new experiences can cause nerve pathways that are frequently used to become stronger, while those that are rarely used become weaker and eventually die out.
Wow, that's incredible. Can you give me some examples of how this works?
Sure. Studies have shown that learning new skills, like juggling, can actually increase the amount of gray matter in the brain's visual cortex.
That's amazing. And what about other activities, like playing video games?
Excellent question. Research has found that playing video games can increase gray matter in various parts of the brain, including the cortex, hippocampus, and cerebellum.
Fascinating. And what about meditation? Does that affect brain plasticity as well?
Yes, absolutely. Studies have shown that meditation can affect neural activity and pathways, with Tibetan monks exhibiting higher levels of gamma wave activity, which is associated with increased coordination of neuron activity. Brain plasticity evaluation. Kemperman et al., 1988, studied rats and found that those housed in complex environments showed an increase in neurons within the hippocampus, which is associated with memory formation and navigation.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, our experiences can actually change the structure of our brains?
Exactly. And it's not just in animals. McGuire et al., 2000, studied London taxi drivers and found that their extensive experience of spatial navigation resulted in a larger posterior hippocampus compared to a control group.
That's amazing. So, our brains can adapt and change based on the experiences we have over time?
Yes, that's the essence of brain plasticity. It shows that our brains are not fixed, but rather dynamic and responsive to the demands of our environment and experiences. Functional recovery after trauma. Studies of individuals who suffered strokes in the 1960s found that some were able to regain previous functioning to a certain degree.
Wow, that's incredible. How does the brain manage to do that?
It's all thanks to the brain's plasticity. The brain can rewire itself and create alternative neural pathways around the damaged areas.
That's amazing. How does it do that?
There are two main mechanisms at play: neuronal unmasking and stem cells. Neuronal unmasking involves the activation of dormant synapses, which become unmasked and take over the functions of the damaged areas.
I see. And what about stem cells?
Stem cells are unspecialized cells that can develop into various cell types, including nerve cells. They can help replace dead or dying cells, or facilitate the regeneration of damaged cells. Functional recovery after trauma evaluation. A study by Tajiri et al., 2013, found that when they implanted stem cells into the injured brains of rats, the rats showed clear development of neuron-like cells in the injury sites after 3 months.
That's fascinating. But how does that translate to humans?
Well, the researchers noted that the findings may not fully apply to humans, since rats have very different biology. More research is needed to determine the external validity.
I see. What other factors have been linked to functional recovery after brain injury?
Educational attainment is another important factor. A study by Schneider et al., 2014, found that patients with a college education were 7 times more likely to be disability-free a year after a moderate to severe brain injury.
Wow, that's a significant difference. Do you know why education is so important for recovery?
The researchers believe it's due to cognitive reserve, which is associated with greater educational attainment. This helps with neural adaptation during the recovery process.
That makes sense. Are there any other factors that influence functional recovery?
Yes, age also plays a role. A study by Elbert et al., 2001, found that neural reorganization and functional plasticity are greater in children than in adults, even though abilities once thought to be fixed in childhood can be modified with enough training.